This is 4.2 Polynomial Operations. In this section, we're going to add, subtract, and multiply polynomial expressions. For the first section, we're going to start by adding. When you add polynomial operations, you add your like terms, meaning if it has an x, you add it to the other terms that have an x. If it doesn't have an x, you add it to the other terms that don't have an x. If it has an x squared, you only add it to the other x squareds. So we can do this a couple of different ways, and I'll alternate the ways that I'm doing this. But for the first example, we'll do both. For the first example, we have two terms in each polynomial. We have x minus 3 and negative 2x minus 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group my like terms. I'm going to start with the x's. And I'm going to write down x plus, because we're adding, negative 2x. And x plus negative 2x, I'm going to add the numbers that are in front of the x. So 1 plus negative 2, which is negative 1x. I'll do the same thing for the terms that didn't have an x, for the constants. So I'm going to do negative 3 plus, because we're adding, negative 5. And negative 3 plus negative 5 is negative 8. And then I take both of those values and I put them back together. The negative x goes first, and the negative 8 goes second. And that's my answer. Some people also like to stack these. So what you can do is you can take your first polynomial, x minus 3, and stack it on top of your second polynomial, making sure that your like terms line up. So notice I've got the x's on top of each other and the constants on top of each other. And then we can add those two together. And so again, x plus negative 2x is negative x, and negative 3 plus negative 5 is negative 8. Same answer, two different methods. So I'll alternate back and forth here. For the next example, we'll go ahead and do the grouping method. This time we have x squared as well as x and a constant. So I'm going to start with the x squareds. So we're going to say 2x squared plus, because we're adding, and negative x squared. And if I look real quick, I see x squared, I see another x squared. Those are the only x squareds that I see. And so I'll go ahead and add those. So 2 plus negative 1 is negative 1 with the x squared attached. Then I'm going to look for x's. So I see a minus 3x and a plus x. So that means I'm going to do minus 3x plus x, which is going to give me negative 2x. And then the constants, 7 and negative 9. So I'm going to do 7 plus negative 9 and get negative 2. And this gives me x squared minus 2x minus 2. For the next example, we'll try the stacking method. So for this one, we have x cubed in our polynomial. So I have an x cubed in the first polynomial and an x cubed in the second polynomial. I have an x squared and an x squared. I have an x and an x. And I have a constant and a constant. So let's go ahead and stack these. I'm going to take negative 3x cubed minus 5x squared minus 4x plus 1. And then 2x cubed plus 5x squared plus x minus 3. Draw a line, put a plus sign, and then start adding vertically. So negative 3 plus 2, that's going to get me a negative 1x to the third. Then negative 5 plus 5 is 0, so this is 0x squared. And then negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3 with the x attached. And 1 plus negative 3 is negative 2. This is a perfectly fine way to leave our answer, but we don't have to write the 0x squared. That's just a placeholder. So I could write this as negative x cubed minus 3x minus 2. For the next example, I'll go ahead and do the grouping method. So for this one, I'm going to take a look at my terms. I see an x cubed, and for this one, I don't see another x cubed. So then I'll look for x squareds. I see an x squared and an x squared. For x's, I see an x and an x, and then I see a constant and a constant. So I notice that I'm missing a second x cubed term. So I'm just going to say x cubed equals x cubed because there's nothing to add to it. Then I'm going to do negative 4x squared plus 2x squared, which is going to give me negative 2x squared. Then 5x plus negative x. Let's keep it plus since we're adding. And 5 minus x is 4x. Negative 3 plus 1 for our constants gives me negative 2. And so I put everything back together. Don't forget about that lonely x cubed. So x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 2. Next, we're going to subtract. And what I would like for you to do when you subtract is distribute that negative sign in the middle. We're actually going to take it and turn it into a plus sign. So I'm going to take that negative sign. I'm going to do distributive property on the terms and get 2x plus 7 plus, we're going to turn that minus into a plus because we distributed the minus. And then minus a negative is going to get us 5x minus 3. So now we have that problem. And so now it's just like addition. So I think we're up to a stacking method by now. So I'm going to say 2x plus 7 stacked on top of 5x minus 3. And we're going to add those. And 2 plus 5 is 7, so that's going to be 7x. And then 7 plus negative 3 is positive 4. Next example, same deal. We're going to distribute that negative sign. So distribute the negative sign only to the second polynomial. So that's going to give us negative 3x squared plus 4x minus 6 plus, and then we're going to have negative 3x squared minus 2x plus 5. So all that distribution does with the negative sign is just flips the signs inside the parentheses. And then we've got a negative 3x squared and a negative 3x squared. So those will be like terms. And we've got a 4x and a negative 2x. Those will be like terms. And negative 6 and positive 5. Those will also be like terms. So we've got negative 3x squared plus negative 3x squared, which is negative 6x squared. Then 4x plus negative 2x, which gets us 2x. And then negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. So our final answer is negative 6x squared plus 2x minus 1. At the bottom of this page, the polynomials get a little bit longer. So let's stack these, but first we distribute the negative sign. So distributing here is going to flip all of these signs. So we're going to have negative 4x cubed plus 9x squared minus 3x minus 8 plus, I'll write it down here because I'm running out of room, plus, that's going to be a plus 3x cubed minus x squared plus 2x minus 3. And we can stack them. So negative 4x cubed plus 9x squared minus 3x minus 8. As we stack them, make sure you're stacking like terms on like terms. So cubed minus x squared plus 2x minus 3. And we'll add them up and get negative x cubed plus 8x squared minus x minus 11. Last example on this page for subtraction, we're going to distribute again. And then as you're grouping, well, let's write this out first. So if I write this out down here, I'm going to have 2x cubed minus 6x squared minus 1 plus, and then flip your signs, minus 5x squared plus 3x minus 9. And let's highlight. So I've got a 2x cubed, but I don't see another x cubed. I do have some x squareds in both polynomials. In the first polynomial, I don't have just a plain old x, but in the second one I do. And then I have constants in both. So I have to be real careful when I'm grouping here, because I've got the 2x cubed with nothing to add to it. And then I've got negative 6x squared plus negative 5x squared, which is negative 11x squared. Then I've got the 3x that doesn't have a like term. And then I have negative 1 plus negative 9, which is negative 10. So keeping track of all of my terms, I have a 2x cubed minus 11x, make that look like an x squared plus 3x minus 10. And that's subtraction. Next, we multiply. So the first type of multiplication that we can do in this first example is a monomial. So that's monomial times a binomial, which is binomial. Monomial means one term, binomial means two terms. When you have a monomial times anything, what you're going to do is distributive property. So I'm going to take 3x and I'm going to distribute it to the x and the 7. So I'm going to have 3x times x plus, because there's a plus sign in the parentheses, 3x times 7. X times x, as a side note, is equal to x squared. So 3x times x is 3x squared. For the 3x times 7, I can actually move the 7 and make this 3 times 7 times x. That's the commutative property. And 3 times 7 is 21. So this becomes 3x squared plus 21x. Next example, we're going to still do a monomial times a binomial. We're going to distribute the monomial. So that means we have 6x squared times 3x minus, because of the minus in the parentheses, 6x squared times 4. And then we can move some things around. I can make this 6 times 3 times x squared times x. And over here I could do 6 times 4 times x squared. 6 times 3 is 18. X squared times x, well, if I had x times x is x squared, that's just tacking on one more x. So x squared times x is now x cubed. There are 3 x's being multiplied together. So this is going to be x cubed. 6 times 4 is 24 with the x squared. Next, we are going to multiply a binomial times a binomial. So this is binomial times a binomial. So there are a couple of different ways that you can do this multiplication. I'm a fan of the box for anyone who's seen the box, but I am going to show you double distribution just so that you can make a decision about which one you like better. So double distribution means both terms in the first binomial get multiplied by both terms in the second binomial. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to do 2x times x and 2x times 3. So I'm just doing the 2x first. So I'm going to say 2x times x, and then plus, because there's a plus inside the second parentheses, 2x times 3. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but with the -5. So I'm going to distribute the -5 to both terms in the second set of parentheses. So I'm doing 2 distributive properties. And that gives me plus -5 times x plus -5 times 3. So putting that all together, 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 3, I can do 2 times 3 and get 6, so plus 6x. Then I've got minus 5x, and then -5 times 3 is going to be -15. I have like terms, and so I can combine those and make this 2x squared plus x minus 15. The other way to do this is using a multiplication box. So because we have 2 binomials, and each binomial has 2 terms, I'm going to make a 2 by 2 box. And in that box, I'm going to multiply to get the terms of my polynomial, my answer. So I'm going to take the 2x minus 5 and put it across the top, leaving the minus with the 5, and then x plus 3 along the left-hand side. And then I'm going to multiply. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times minus 5 is minus 5x. 2x times 3 is 6x. And -5 times 3 is -15. And hopefully what you see right now is in the box, the 4 elements in the box are the same as the 4 terms that we got when we did our double distribution. So I can take them out of the box and get 2x squared minus 5x plus 6x minus 15. And then I have like terms that I can combine. So I can say 2x squared plus x, because 6 minus 5 is 1, minus 15. Like I said, I'm a fan of the box, so I'm going to do the box, but feel free to challenge yourself a little bit if you want to try and do the double distribution. So next example, we've got a binomial times a binomial. So 2 terms in the first set of parentheses, two terms in the second set of parentheses. So I'm going to put the first binomial, 3x squared plus 1 up top. The second, x minus 6 along the side, keeping the negative sign with the 6. And I'm going to multiply. 3x squared times x is 3x cubed. X times 1 is x. Negative 6 times 3x squared is negative 18x squared. And then negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. When I take these out of the box, I want to make sure that I'm taking them out in exponent order, from the biggest exponent to the smallest exponent. So the biggest exponent that I have is a 3, so 3x cubed. Then I'm going to do negative 18x squared, then plus x, and minus 6. There are a couple more that I like to try. We're not going to do all of them, but just a couple more. So for the one on the right-hand side of the top row, there's a 5 in front. So this one is actually a monomial times a binomial times a binomial. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this. So you could distribute the 5 right away. When you distribute the 5, you only distribute it to one of the two binomials. So I would recommend the 2x plus 3. So I could say 10x plus 15 and then x minus 4 and set up my box that way. Or I could set the 5 off to the side and I could do my box. So here's my box with the two sets of parentheses only. So 2x plus 3 and x minus 4. 2x times x is 2x squared. 3 times x is 3x. 2x times negative 4 is negative 8x. And then 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. And when I write my answer, I'm going to put that 5 down here and then put my terms inside parentheses. So 2x squared plus 3x minus 8x minus 12. And then I can combine like terms because I've got the 3x and the 8x. So 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. And then I can distribute the 5. Whoops. To all three of the terms inside the parentheses. So 10x squared minus 25x minus 60. For the final example that we're going to do a binomial times a trinomial. So we've been doing binomial times binomial with the box. Now we're going to do binomial times trinomial. So we can do either one. I'm going to pick the one on the right-hand side. And I'm going to set up a box, but this time it can't be a 2 by 2 box. We were doing 2 by 2 because it was binomial times binomial. Now it's binomial times trinomial, which means 3. So I'm going to set up a box that is 2 by 3. So we'll divide one side into 2 and the other side into 3s. And we'll do x plus 4 for the 2 side, and then for the 3 side, 2x squared minus 4x plus 3. Okay, watch that negative sign, make sure it goes with the term that immediately follows it. So then 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. Going to the right, top row to the right, we're going to do x times negative 4x, which is negative 4x squared. Then x times 5 is 5x. Next row, first column, we're going to do 4 times 2x squared, so 8x squared. Then negative 4 times negative 4x times 4 is negative 16x. And then 4 times 5 is 20. If you look in the box, sometimes you can see a pattern with the like terms. Like there's a set of like terms right there. And there's a set of like terms right there. And so you may be able to add them before you even get them out of the box. So I have 2x cubed. In the box, I have 8 minus 4. So that's going to be plus 4x squared. And then I've got negative 16 plus 5, which is negative 11x plus the 20.